better job, more money, further in life, and you're trying your best. You're not lazy, you're not careless, but somehow it still feels like everyone else is ahead. You see it everywhere, on your phone, on your screen, in small moments you didn't even ask for. Someone your age gets promoted. Someone else moves to a new place. Someone announces an engagement, a business, a milestone, and even if you're genuinely happy for them, something quiet drops in your chest. A thought you don't say out loud. I should be further by now. It's not loud panic. It's a slow pressure, a feeling that shows up when you're alone, late at night, early in the morning, in between tasks. You start reviewing your life without meaning to. Where you are, where you thought you'd be, where everyone else seems to be going. You tell yourself you still have time, but time feels different now. Faster, less forgiving, like everyone got a head start you somehow missed. And the hardest part is that from the outside, nothing looks wrong. You're functioning, you're doing what you can, but inside, it feels like you're constantly catching up to a version of life that keeps moving further away. Sometimes it's money, not having enough, or not having what others seem to have so easily. You're working, trying, budgeting, thinking ahead, but no matter what you do, it feels like progress is slow, too slow, and you start wondering if you made the wrong choices or if you started too late. Sometimes it's work, watching people your age seem confident in their careers while you're still figuring things out, still unsure, still questioning if you're even on the right path. You wonder when it's supposed to click, when you're supposed to feel stable, when you're supposed to feel like you know what you're doing. And sometimes it's relationships, seeing people settle into something solid while you're still navigating uncertainty, still healing, still choosing yourself, still alone in ways you didn't expect to be at this point. And even when you're okay with it most days, the comparison creeps in quietly. What makes this feeling so heavy is that it doesn't come from doing nothing. It comes from effort, from trying, from caring, from wanting more for yourself. You're not behind because you didn't move. You're behind because the world around you keeps moving faster. At some point, life stopped feeling like something you were building and started feeling like something you were measuring yourself against timelines you didn't choose, against standards that were never clearly explained, against people who might be living completely different lives behind the scenes. And that's where the pressure really comes from, because comparison doesn't just show you where others are. It tells you a story about what that means about you. It turns differences into failures, delays into flaws, and suddenly, well, being on your own path feels like being lost. But here's something rarely talked about. Most people don't actually feel ahead. They just look that way. Confidence travels faster than certainty. Milestones are visible. Doubt isn't. Struggle doesn't post itself online. Confusion doesn't announce when it shows up. You're comparing your inside to everyone else's outside, and the mind is very good at turning that into evidence against you. There's also something else happening beneath the surface. The world didn't just get faster. It got louder, more connected, more aware of what everyone else is doing at all times. You're exposed to more lives in one day than people used to see in years. Your brain was never designed to process this many comparisons. So when you feel behind, it's not because you're failing at life. It's because you're constantly being reminded of how many different ways there are to live it. And that reminder never turns off. Over time, that creates a quiet exhaustion, a feeling that no matter how much you do, it's not enough. No matter how far you come, there's always someone further. And eventually, you stop celebrating where you are because you're too focused on where you're not. This is where many people get stuck, not because they lack potential, but because they've internalized a race that doesn't have a finish line. The truth is, there is no universal timeline. There never was. It was always an idea, a rough expectation passed down, repeated, and reinforced. But real lives don't follow straight lines. They pause, they change direction, they slow down, they restart. Feeling left behind often means you're at a point of transition, not failure. A place where the old expectations no longer fit, but the new direction hasn't fully formed yet. That space is uncomfortable, unclear, quiet, and because it doesn't look productive, it gets mislabeled as being behind. But it isn't empty. It's just unseen. So what do you do with this feeling? Not how do you erase it overnight, but how do you live with it without letting it define you? One gentle shift is noticing when comparison starts running the story. You don't need to stop comparing entirely. That's unrealistic. But you can notice when comparison turns from information into self-judgment, when it stops being "they're doing well" and becomes "I'm doing something wrong." Another shift is separating progress from visibility. Just because your growth isn't obvious doesn't mean it isn't happening. Some progress happens quietly, internally, in decisions you make, in boundaries you hold, in things you no longer tolerate. That kind of growth doesn't look impressive online, but it changes everything over time. It can also help to loosen your grip on the idea of being on time. Life isn't late. You're not missing a deadline you were supposed to meet. You're responding to circumstances, choices, and realities that are uniquely yours. The pressure to be somewhere by now often comes from imagined observers, not real consequences. And maybe the most important shift is allowing yourself to move at a pace that doesn't constantly punish you, a pace where progress doesn't have to prove your worth, where rest isn't a setback, where uncertainty isn't a sign that you're lost. You don't have to suddenly feel confident. You don't have to fully believe that everything will work out. Sometimes all you need is to stop treating your current position as a verdict on your future. Because feeling left behind doesn't mean you are behind. It means you're aware. It means you're reflecting. It means you care about where your life is going. And that awareness, while uncomfortable, is often what leads people to paths that actually fit them. The world will keep moving fast. But you don't have to measure your entire life against moments you don't fully understand. You're allowed to be where you are without explaining it. You're allowed to take longer. You're allowed to arrive differently. And even if it doesn't feel like it right now, this phase you're in isn't wasted time. It's a pause where things are being redefined, quietly, slowly, in ways that don't announce themselves. You're not behind, you're just in the middle of becoming.